Hey guys, it's your big dreamer and doer, G Dinero, coming to you today with another TA Tuesday, this time on a Friday. But first, remember, none of this is tax, financial, legal, investment advice. It's your buddy G Dinero helping you increase your financial literacy to help put you and your family on that path to financial freedom. So with no further ado, let's dig in.
Mufasa, you know we finally here, right?
Well,
It's Friday then, it's Saturday, Sunday, what? It's Friday then, it's Saturday, Sunday, what? It's Friday again, it's Saturday, Sunday, Let's go, let's go, what, no you did.
All right, so guys, thank you so much. I got so many incredible emails and WhatsApp messages and comments on the YouTube videos from those of you wishing my wife and I a happy 25th wedding anniversary. Everybody seemed to like the video that I made floating in the middle of the Aegean Sea for last week's TA Tuesday. This week was a travel day that day on Tuesday itself, so there was just no way I could make a video. So I figured I'd go ahead and make it up to everybody, do one today, and then I'll do another one on Tuesday next week. So let's dig in. First and foremost, the Bitcoin TABI model. As you can see, it's been orange now for quite a bit. So I left somewhere right around here. We were still yellow when I made the last video. We've since gone orange and stayed this light orange color. That means that Bitcoin is heating up, but not as red hot yet. And you can see that if you look at the MVRV Z-scores down here and the Meyer multiple. We're not in that overheated range. Heck, we were more overheated back here in November and December timeframe coming out of the election than we are now, even though we're making new all-time highs. And we did hit a new all-time high on July 14th, Bastille Day over there in France, at $123,236, $123,000, 236. That's per Bitstamp. I think on oh my goodness gracious, on Coinbase over here you can see that we hit 123,231. So $123,231 for the new all-time high on Bitcoin. And what do we see on the daily chart with Bitcoin? Well, I've marked the new current support zone. So our former resistance zone that went up to right around $110,000 to $112,000, that was the previous all-time high. We blasted straight through that in a single candle, ripping through a bunch of shorts on the way. And so what do I see? I see a massive gap. If you look on the VRVP, I'll circle it over here on the right-hand side, right there where that yellow circle is. Notice there's almost no volume there whatsoever. We ripped straight from 112 straight up to approximately 115. So there's a gap there. And it's not a gap up like you would see with a stock per se, but it should act the same way. So if we pull back into that zone and tap the top of this, what I write as the current support zone. So if we drop back down to somewhere around 110, 111, 112, 113, that would not feel unusual to me at all. That would actually be a healthy thing. We're retesting the previous resistance levels, turning it into support. Resistance back here, resistance right here, resistance right here. Finally broke through it on the third tap. So to come back and retest it, something like this, let's say, and then go back up again, that would not be unusual. I don't think we're done. I don't think we're finished with the bull market with Bitcoin by all means. I think we're going to see a big all-time high later on in the in the year, maybe late this year, early part of next year. I do still subscribe to that theory, but I do think we're going to come back and retest this support zone. So currently our 200-day moving average, let's put some exact numbers on this. 200-day moving average is at $98,000. That would be what I would call the floor right now, right? Is right around $98,000 to $100,000. Not saying we're going there, just saying that typically in a bull market, the 200-day acts as the last area of support. If we were to go down that far, the 100-day is at $105,000, and the 50-day moving average is at about 110. So we just rough estimates: 100 for the 200-day moving average, 105 for the 100-day moving average, and 110 for the 50-day moving average. So I could see us coming back down and testing that 50-day moving average, just like we did back here. We retested it right back here at the beginning of July before making a powerful move to the upside. We even dipped below it just a little bit here at the end of June. But notice how along the way, this green ascending line was support multiple times along the way. On the mean reversion on the daily chart, a little bit overheated right now. We're coming off of being very overheated on the RSI. A crossover right here on the MACD. We do have corresponding sell signals up here with the confluence indicator. So may see, again, Bitcoin taking a breather right here. That would not be unusual. Check out global liquidity, though. Global liquidity is just spiking. Here's the spike in global liquidity. Guys, if there is a lag that we talk about, then there could be a much bigger Bitcoin move towards the end of the year. Much bigger Bitcoin move towards the end of the year. So that's what I see on the daily chart. Moving over here on the 4-hour, here's that gap that I was talking about. It's a little bit more pronounced. You can really see it. So coming back down here and retesting this 110 to 112 range would not seem weird at all. I did move those same current support and resistance zones over here so that you could kind of take a look at those. Believe it or not, on the 4-hour, we're back mean reverted to the downside right now, and RSI almost dropped below 30 again recently. So we are seeing that pullback kind of coiling up before the next move. Something of note, you'll see it. You just can see it up here behind the writing. It says cup and handle target. Let me do this so you can see it. Cup and handle weekly target. We almost hit that 125, and that cup and handle has been growing. If I were to go over here and move this onto a weekly chart, I'll do it on this one. You can see this giant cup right here, giant cup, and then the handle was this little bit off to the side. So the depth of the cup, I'm trying to write it out. I have a lot of monumental things that have happened. So here's the top of the cup, here's the bottom of the cup, here's the handle. Usually this distance right here is how far you'll break out to the upside, and we almost hit it perfectly. So for those people that think that technical analysis is a bunch of hocus pocus, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but it actually works in my opinion. So we've got the Bitcoin 4-hour. We discussed that. Let's jump over to the Solana Bitcoin chart. Finally, some movement there. There were people that thought that I had sold my entire Solana position on the forum. Guys, I'm not about to sell my entire Solana position on anytime soon, okay? I have Solana, I have Bitcoin, I have a few little Solana alts. They make up not even 1% of all of my crypto holdings. I'm pretty much 60-40 Bitcoin and Solana, okay? I believe in Bitcoin for the long term. It is my savings account. I am slowly but surely moving money out of cash savings accounts and over into Bitcoin savings, meaning on a long-term cold storage, hidden away forever, okay, type thing, to borrow against in the future. But for right now, the Solana Bitcoin, we did make it right back up to the 200-day moving average. You can see right here, and then rejected off of it, unfortunately. We are barely mean reverted to the upside. It's been basically going sideways for months. That's why you don't see the very pronounced mean reversions one way or the other. The last time we were significantly mean reverted to the upside was in January, and to the downside was at the end of February. Since then, It's been pretty much flatlined, and you'll see the same thing here on the chart. We did make it all the way back up to 00174-ish, right? So that's not too shabby. But then have since pulled back again down to this 100-day moving average that you can just barely see here. So I believe for right now, we will see Solana starting to outperform Bitcoin through the rest of the year. Bitcoin had its day, right? With all the treasuries, they were the rage. The Bitcoin treasuries were the rage. The Bitcoin ETFs were the rage. The potential strategic Bitcoin reserve was the rage. All those things were the rage. Now we're starting to see Solana and some of the altcoins come alive. So expect this to start to go to the upside. For those of you that thought I sold all of my Solana, what I have said is at pre-programmed levels along the way, like 002, 0025. Why those levels? Those are just levels where I feel comfortable selling some of my Solana into Bitcoin. That means that if this line is going up like this, right, and along the way I take profits at certain levels, that means that Solana has outperformed Bitcoin, and I'm able to buy more Bitcoin with that same amount of money. I hope that makes sense to you, okay? That's why I'm doing it the way I'm doing things. Solana on the daily chart by itself, you'll see that we do have, we made it almost up to the resistance zone here of around 210, and then pulled back down into this current support zone. That used to say resistance on my charts, but we've turned that resistance into support right now. So right now, the biggest support is right around 175. I see that acting as support with the 200-day moving average down around 163. Yeah, 162, 163. That you'll see the 100 and the 50 are about to cross up through the 200-day moving average. This area right here will act as a very strong support. So if we lose 175, expect to go down into the 155 to 165 range. Oh, and apologize for all the unshavenness. I got back late last night, guys, from a 2.5-week trip to Europe. So I just said I'm going to make a video today. I'm going at it, all right? So don't judge the appearance. Yes, I'm tired. Yes, I'm unshaven. But you guys don't care what I look like. You only care about the content, in my opinion. And if you do care what I look like, sorry, I'm unshaven. We are mean reverted a little bit to the upside on the daily chart. You will see, though, that RSI spiked hard all the way up to almost 83. So it's not unexpected that Solana made it over 200 and pulled back below 200 again to take a bit of a breather. You can really see it over here on the 4-hour chart. Here's that massive spike straight up to 205, 206, and then the pullback right here to the point of control, which is right around 177. So that 175, 180 range, this should act as the temporary support. If we were to break down again, I see us going down maybe as far as where the 200-day, the 100-day, and the 50 are. But you'll note that we are back down on the RSI, almost to 30 again, like 35 on the 4-hour chart, and we are mean reverted to the downside again. So things are taking a breather. Maybe you took some profits here up at the top when we got back up over 200, but I do expect to see Solana going further throughout the rest of the year. Tesla, our friend Tesla, golly, Tesla is like someone who is bipolar. For those of you, if any of you are bipolar, I'm not making fun of a bipolar person, just saying that Tesla is going high and low and high and low. At 1 week, it's flying high and spiking and hitting $350, $360, and the next week it drops back down to $280 when Trump and Elon have another fight, and then it spikes back up again on great news of a robo-taxi launch, and then it dumps back down again when the earnings report was pretty cautious going into the into the latter half of this year, the second half of this year. It is definitely up and down like a daggum roller coaster right now, okay? So on the daily, what you'll note is we made the all-time high and we've just been generally trading down and to the right. Some would say, oh no, we made the lows and now we're going back up again. Perhaps, but we haven't been able to make any higher highs recently. Notice on the daily, We made a high, a lower high, a lower high, a lower high, and another lower high. So right now, the trend really on the daily chart has not switched back into a positive trend to the upside. And in fact, if you look at the trend here, this is the regular trend, not the optimized trend. It's flipping back and forth, like I was saying at the beginning of this, like a roller coaster, right? RSI right now is neutral. Mean reversion is neutral. This thing is just going sideways right now. Sideways and slowly trickling down. Could be winding up, could be coiling up. I know that James looked at that on a shorter time frame. I would agree with that. Let's look at it on a 4-hour chart. On a 4-hour, we are starting to see a little bit of a wedge formation. You can kind of see that right here with those lines that I just drew. Here's the top part of it. I'll kind of color them in. Here's the bottom part of it right here. And typically that'll break out hard to the upside, considering that we were already on our way up before consolidating, okay? So a lot of writing on the screen. Let me get rid of that, and you'll see what I mean. We were up, consolidated to the side, then usually you'll see another leg up after that. So I believe that on a 4-hour chart. We are slightly mean reverted to the downside. We did pull back hard enough that we made an RSI value over here of close to 29. So that's a buying signal typically when you get a RSI below 30. So buy signal right here. That was when Tesla was recently back down at 300. Right now, it is a buying opportunity, I believe, on Tesla at 300. Is it going to spike to 350 or 400 anytime soon? I don't think so. I don't see that happening. It's going to need some really good news in order to do so. And unfortunately, on the earnings report, even though the earnings was green, so you'll see that they beat on earnings slightly, surprising the estimates to the upside. However, caution was made on the earnings report that there could be some difficulties through the second half of the year. Some of the things like the car deliveries were down a little bit. And again, I understand. We know that Tesla is not just a car company. It's an AI company. But Wall Street is still looking at it for right now. All they care about is the next 3 months. And if the next 3 months, if the guidance that was given by Elon and the team is kind of muted or maybe even slightly depressed compared to what the analysts expected, then it's going to get punished. But that just gives us more time to load up right now on Tesla. So I get a lot of questions about buying Tesla leaps. Guys, realize that Invest Answers is typically doing synthetic longs. He is selling a put and buying a call. He's not just buying call options by themselves. If you're buying a call option by itself, typically you're going to buy that slightly in the money instead of at the money or above the money. All right, I hope that part makes sense. So I get asked that question very, very frequently. This is a good time to plug my Understanding Options course. If you want to learn more about options, I do have a course called Understanding Options where I go over everything, how to buy and sell puts and calls, all the terminology, all the Greeks, everything you need to know in order to become a successful options trader. So with that said, right now we are battling with the 200-day and the 50-day moving average. Notice every time we tend to spike above it, we come right back down below it. We're just dancing on either side of this yellow line that you see right here and the green line that just crossed up above it. In fact, we had a golden cross right here, and it looks like we might have a death cross right after it. If this yellow line turns up a little bit and the green line turns down, then we would end up having a death cross. Again, I don't place a lot of emphasis in those. Right now, we are in this current resistance zone with support being down. Now my mouse is jacked up. There we go. Support's right here starting at 300 and extending down to about 285. So 285 to 300 is support. With Tesla, that's the quote buy range. Sell range is anything up here in the 320 to 360 range. If you're trading Tesla, some people are just accumulating, others are actually trading it. All right, MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy is still crushing it. Again, I know this looks like a really busy chart. It's because of this MNAV indicator that I found recently. But what you'll note is MNAV has been sitting right around 1.7 to 2.0. It's been hovering back and forth between 1.5 to 2.0, 1.5 to 2.0. Now Michael Saylor has a fourth preferred, and this one is STRC called Stretch, where the dividend is constantly changing and it can stretch up or down in order to pay out a floating dividend. Think of it as a floating dividend that is designed to help keep the price as close to 100 or par value as possible. Because what he noted was with the other ones, with STRF, it was tending up into the 120s, STRK up into the 120s, STRD had gone up into almost par value, has since sold back off down into the 80s again, if I remember correctly. We'll see that here in a moment. But on the daily chart, just slightly mean reverted to the upside, but really quiet. For MicroStrategy, we've been very quiet since all the way back in November as far as on the daily chart, what you see here. Let's go over onto the 4-hour. We can get a little more granular. You'll see that we did spike up just above this resistance zone all the way up here to almost 460. But as I've been saying for months now, 450 to 460 is solid resistance. To think we're just going to blast right through it again like we did back in November, that's not going to happen because people know a little bit more about MicroStrategy right now. There are people that bought it 450, 475, 500, a lot of shares, and they've been considerably underwater for months now since November. Those folks are taking their profits right now. They're getting out and they're selling. There's a lot of sell pressure every time we get up into this 450 to 460 zone. Also, Saylor turned on the ATM again and started to ATM some shares then. It makes sense when the MNAV gets up there up to close to 2 or slightly above 2, sell shares and basically make double for those shares theoretically and buy Bitcoin immediately with that money. Otherwise, use the preferreds, the STRD, STRK, STRF, and now STRC. Pretty soon, who knows how many of these things we're going to have. Where's the support? Support right now is this 50-day moving average down here at around 400. 400 is the top of the support zone. I believe that that's where we will rest before making another push back up to the upside. So 400 is the current support, perhaps going all the way down as far as 370 to 375. It all depends on how the market reacts to earnings. Remember, this earnings report, guys, is going to include a massive profit, multi-billion-dollar profit. I think if I remember correctly, it was like a 12 to 16 billion dollar profit for the quarter because of the fair value, the FASB, the Fair Value Accounting Standards Board, whatever, FASB, because of the FASB rules. So we will see some action, I believe, coming out of the earnings report. I do expect to see this start to go back up again at that point. But for right now, resistance 425 to 450, support down here in the 375 to 400 range. We are slightly mean reverted to the downside. RSI is back down pretty close to 30, which is unusual for MicroStrategy. It doesn't tend to get down there very often. So if you had no MicroStrategy, or if you were pair trading back and forth with Tesla and MicroStrategy, might be a good time to go ahead and add up some MicroStrategy. Nvidia on the daily, straight up, straight to the right, but finally a sell signal showed up. That's the first sell signal that we've seen on the daily chart since all the way back here in, October of 24. So October of 24 all the way to July of 25, 8 months, 8 or 9 months since the last sell signal. We did sell off not too far after that last one. So I expect things to take a bit of a breather right here. But if you were to look at this trend, that trend is just super strong up and to the right now. We are considerably mean reverted to the upside, to the upside, more than one standard deviation on the daily. If we move over here onto the 4-hour chart, similarly, we have only been mean reverted to the upside since April 24th. We have not been below the mean since April 24th. That's how strong this move with Nvidia has been, up and to the right. So remember, back here, we were talking about anything under 100 is a steal. Hopefully you guys loaded the boats back there at 100, at 90, at 86, went as low as 86. I wasn't buying it that low, but I was getting it at 90, 95, 100. Right? So since then, we retested that level one more time, and it's just been basically up and to the right. We are meeting an area of resistance right now. The all-time high is 175-ish, and the current support zone goes down here to 155 to 165, somewhere in that range. So that's what I see right now for Nvidia. Definitely not buying signals on the chart. If anything, maybe take some profits with the Nvidia. Moving over to the MicroStrategy Tesla chart, you'll note that we had an opportunity to go from Tesla back into MicroStrategy here, MicroStrategy to Tesla up here, Tesla to MicroStrategy down here. And yes, I know there's no sell signal here. Remember, I told you, sometimes I just use the midpoint of the ascending linear regression channel that you see right here. Sometimes I use these Fibonacci levels that you see. And if it's approximating a Fibonacci level, go from MicroStrategy into Tesla. When it comes back down and taps another Fibonacci level, or comes down and touches the bottom of the linear regression channel, or comes close to the 200-day moving average, go from Tesla back into MicroStrategy. Then the trend is straight up until we got up here at this 1.4 level. Perfect time to go back from MicroStrategy back into Tesla. I see too many people on this pair trade try to make it an exact science. It is not an exact science. Part of it is there's an art to it as well. And you can see the cyclical nature of this chart. Trend flips from orange to blue here, blue to orange here, orange to blue here, blue to orange here, orange to blue here. You can literally play the trend flip. You can play the lines on the linear regression channel. You can play the Fibonacci lines going from Fibonacci to Fibonacci line. You don't need to capture just the most extreme moves if you don't want to wait that long. You can capture the smaller moves as well. Anytime you're able to go from here to here and back down to there, that's gaining yourself more MicroStrategy, because here you're going from Tesla into MicroStrategy. Here you're going from MicroStrategy back into Tesla. And here you're going from Tesla back into MicroStrategy. Just that little move right there. Up, down. So 1, 2, 3 trades would have increased your MicroStrategy position likely by 25, 30, 35%. Okay? So keep that in mind. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for, where are the anomalies? Where is it considerably mean reverted to the upside and to the downside? To the upside and to the downside. You can use just mean reversion to trade this thing. When you combine all those factors, there's a lot of trades available to you with the MicroStrategy Tesla pair right now. The other one that I tend to cover here is this MicroStrategy, all the preferreds. The preferreds, you'll note, spiked as high as, sorry, I said 120s, 133, as high as 133 back at the end of June, and 128 on the STRF. So this is STRK on the left. I'll go ahead and put, for the sake of this video, a K there, an F there, a D here. And don't worry about this one yet. Oh gosh, those are linked. Don't worry about the one on the bottom. It is STRD for right now until STRC starts trading. And once it starts trading, that's what that chart's going to be in the bottom right-hand corner. But on STRK, we did pull almost all the way back down here to close to par value and to the, what's it called? The point of control. You can see that red line right here. That's the point of control. So buying some STRK down here or buying some STRF down here where it's getting closer to par value, at least then the dividend that you see up here, the 10%, will be a lot closer to 10%. When we were up here at the 130 range, that's not a 10% dividend. It's more like an 8% dividend, 8.5%. Same thing over here. When we were up at 130, the 8% dividend of STRK was more like a 6.5% dividend. Now that we're price-wise getting back down towards the bottom of the range that we've been in recently, we're getting back closer to what we call par value. That's going to allow you to be able to collect true 8 and 10% dividends. No matter what, you're getting $8 a share or $10 a share with these guys. Again, STRD is the one that I'm really not playing with. So you'll notice I'm not making any mention over on this chart over here because I'm not doing anything personally with STRD. Finally, last week I went ahead, or 2 weeks ago, I went ahead and started talking about the rotation model. I showed you guys how I had set mine up. I did add Palantir here instead of CYFRF. So I did that about literally a week after making the rotation model video that I made a swap. And instead of using CYFRF, I used Palantir. I just thought about what I really wanted to hold on to over the next 1 to 2 years. And CYFRF was not something that I was going to hold. That proved to be a really good decision because I ended up moving into Palantir per the model right here, and then swapped out of Palantir into gold right there. That was a great trade at the time. I'm surprised that the rotation model hasn't given me any other signals, but like the video that Jacob just made for the community and James spoke about in a recent post, you have to put your faith in the rotation model. So I did with a portion of my overall investments. I basically allocated a specific amount of money to the rotation model, and I'm going to follow it per every single signal that it gives out for at least 1 year. And I was kind of glad that there weren't any signals here while I was on the boat because it would have been difficult to see it because I wasn't getting any alerts out there. TradingView wasn't working very well because I had uber slow Wi-Fi out there. But for my model, the way mine is set up right now, it has me with a large portion in GLD. GLD had spiked recently. It did pull back a little bit. What's it back to? Back down to 306, 307 after a spike up to 316. But I don't sweat the little small moves on this. I'm in it for the long haul on the rotation model at the end of the day. All right, guys, I hope you found value in this today. I know it was a long one. I felt like I needed to make it up to everybody after taking a full 2.5 weeks off. Although I did make a video, I just didn't have charts to support it because, again, the Wi-Fi was too slow on the boat. I wasn't able to pull up TradingView and do it like I want to. So hopefully you found value in this today. If you did, make sure you like this video. Drop me a comment. What'd you like best? What did you learn? What would you like to learn more about? What would you like to see more of? And make sure you're subscribed to the channel so that way that you don't miss a single episode. I do want to say thank you to each and every one of you guys. We recently crossed 2,000 subscribers. I never dreamed of that in my wildest dreams. We're up over 2,050 right now and growing rapidly. So share it out with your friends, your family. Would love to see this channel continue to grow so that we can get the message out to as many people as possible. Remember, you can book a course with me like I talked about earlier, an understanding options course. If you want to learn the charts the way that I show them, book my TradingView and technical analysis class. I go over everything so that you can be what I call a TradingView ninja, technical analysis ninja or master, and master the charts. You can do that at gdinerocoaching.com. Finally, I'm G Dinero. I'm here to help you increase your financial literacy, to help put you and your family on that path to financial freedom. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sticking with me despite me not being here last week. And we will see you again on Monday morning. Take care, guys. Bye for now.